Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vinodhi Jaya Gopinana Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Yashodanandana Jaya Girivardhari Yamuna Tirani Jaya Kunjali Jaya Rama Jaya Kunjali Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Swami, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladev, Jai Subhadra, Mani Sudarshana, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Swami, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladev, Jai Subhadra, Mani Sudarshana, Jagannath Swami, Jagannath Naranapatagami Bhavati, Jagannath Swami, Naranapatagami, Naranapatagami Bhavati, Gauranitai, 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 Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Swami Srila Prabhupada, Yatita Pavana Srila Prabhupada, Yatita Pavana Srila Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Swami Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Welcome to all devotees. This is ISKCON Seshadripuram's Zoom Srimad Bhagavatam class. So today we'll be discussing on 41st and 42nd sloka of 29th chapter of third canto. So shortly we will start. Just a minute, I'm just putting the audio. वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुनिरये नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिभक्ति नैष्टिकी ओम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितमेन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तत्सजीवं साद्वैतं सार्वभूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपदं सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखावितं तस्य हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिकाकांत राधाकांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासरि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। Yeah, am I audible, Prabhuji, clearly?
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji. Okay, thanks. Hare Krishna. First shloka. Yad vanaspatayo bhita latas aushadabhihi saha स्वे स्वे काले अभिगृह्यन्ति पुष्पाणि च फलानि च What word meaning by Srila Prabhupada? Yet, because of whom? Vanaspatayaha, the trees. Bhitaha, fearful. Lataha, creepers. Cha, and Aushadhivihi, herbs. Saha, with. Svesakale, each in its own season. Abhigrihanti, beer. Pushpani, flowers. Cha, and Phalani, fruits. Cha, also. Out of fear of personality of supreme personality of Godhead, the trees, creepers, herbs, and seasonal plants and flowers blossom and fructify, each in its own season. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. As the sun rises and sets and seasonal changes ensue at their appointed times by superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so the personal seasonal plants, flowers, herbs, and trees all grow under the direction of Supreme Lord. Just a minute, I think I'm not projecting it. Just hold on. I have forgot to share the screen. Yeah, now it must be. I'll read again purport. As the sun rises and sets and the seasonal changes ensue at their appointed times by the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so the seasonal plants, flowers, herbs, and trees all grow under the direction of the Supreme Law. It is not that plants grow automatically without any cause, as the atheist philosophers say. Rather, they grow in pursuance of Supreme Order of Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is confirmed in the Vedic literature that Lord's diverse energies are working so nicely that it appears that everything is being done automatically. Next shloka, 42nd shloka, just a minute. Sravanti sarito bita no sarpati udadiriyataha agnirindre sagiribirhi burna majjati yat bhayat. Translation. Sravanti, flow. Saritaha, rivers. Bhitaha, fearful. No, not. Utsarpati, overflows. Udadihi, the ocean. Yataha, because of whom. Agnihi, fire. Inde, burn. Sagiribihi, with its mountains. Bhuha, earth. No, not. Majjati, sinks. Yat, of whom. Bhayat, out of fear. Translation by Out of fear of Supreme Personality of Godhead, the rivers flow and oceans never overflows. Out of fear of him only does fire burn and does the earth with its mountains not sink in the water of universe. We can understand from Vedic literature that this universe is half filled with water on which Garbhodakshai Vishnu is lying. From his abdomen, a lotus flower has grown, and within the stem of that lotus flower, all the different planets exist. The material scientists explain that all these different planets are floating because of law of gravity or some other law. But the actual lawmaker is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When we speak of law, we must understand that there must be a lawmaker. The material scientists can discover laws of nature, but they are unable to recognize lawmaker. From the Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, we can know who is the lawmaker is. The lawmaker is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is said here that the planets do not sink since they are floating under the order or energy of Supreme Personality of Godhead. They do not fall down into the water which covers half of the universe. All the planets are heavy with their various mountains, seas, oceans, cities, palaces, buildings, and yet they are floating. It is understood from this passage that all other planets that are floating in the air have oceans and mountains similar to those in this planet. Hare Krishna. We'll discuss both sloka one by one. We'll start. नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमदे जय पताका स्वामी निति नामने नमो आचार्य पदाय निताय कृपा प्रदायने गौर कथा दमदाय नगर ग्राम तारिणे नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमदे भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निति नामने Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pacharine Vishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Dishatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktarunda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. यत् वनस्पतयो बीता लता औषधभिः सह स्वे स्वे काले अभिगृह्णन्ति पुष्पाणि च फलानि च. Out of fear of Supreme Personality of Godhead, the trees, creepers, herbs, and seasonal plants and flowers blossom and fructify, each in its own season. And then next shloka says, Sravanti Sarito Bita Not Sarpati Udadir Yataha Agnirinde Sagiri Girivihi Majjati Yad Bhayat. Out of fear of Supreme Personality of Godhead, the rivers flow and the ocean never overflows. But out of fear of him only does fire burn and does the earth with its mountains not sink in the water of universe. Hare Krishna. So now this is the chapter where Lord Kapila, with the incarnation of God, is describing the aspects of devotional service. And he kept describing many things on devotional service in earlier shlokas, three modes, devotional service in three modes, then how living entity should continue his karmas and surrender to Lord. And of course, before that, I mean, this is in response to Mother Devoti. Devoti is Lord Kapila's mother, Devoti. Her questions that how to really get rid of the bondage of this material world. That's a very basic question. And Lord Kapila explains the Sankhya philosophy. So this is a theistic sample Sankhya philosophy. This is not a atheistic. Okay, so theistic means basically we agree, we accept the existence of God as a supreme person, and we say that we are servant of God, which is actually reality. We can easily understand that also. So then, but then before that, Lord explains about the Sankhya means analytical studies, numbers. So basically, he explains about 24 elements, what is material nature, material body, soul, how soul is eternal, who is super soul, Lord, and what is their relation, slowly he explains. And that's the discussion going on. So this is the Lord Kapila explained to Mother Devati. That's the actual incident. And of course, this is all explained by Maitreya Muni to Vidura as a part of Bhagavatam. Now, these two shlokas talks about fear of the creepers, trees, herbs, seasonal plants, flowers, blossom, fructify. Basically, we see this around, right? Trees are growing, creepers are growing, herbs are coming out. We are using herbs. Seasonal plants, flowers are coming. We are utilizing those. They are coming, going. Again, next season it will come. Seasonal changes. And of course, there are fruits. And in nutshell, things are happening around us which appears to be very automatic to us. Do we know how trees are growing? We don't really are mindful of that. We only observe it. Yes, trees have grown. Trees have grown. Herbs are there. We utilize it. So we are a user of this material nature. This is understandable. And not only user, we are actually perceiving. Yes, trees are growing. We can we observing or perceiving, whatever you call, but we don't know how exactly it's happening. Okay. So, but it's happening automatically. That's what we think. Modern science, if you ask modern scientists, the philosophy or basis of, oh, things are happening automatically. Trees are growing. And they'll give some explanation of biological explanation. Ki this is what it happens. Stem cells are coming, cells are growing, or water is going there. It's some scientific, so-called modern scientific physics, chemistry, or biological based microorganism based phenomena will explain. Oh, this is how tree grows or flowers are coming. But that is also only observation. But why that particular tree is growing in particular way? Why other tree? Why apple tree is giving apple fruit and orange tree is orange tree is giving orange fruit? And why that particular activity is in that particular way? We are not able to explain that as a modern science. We are able to explain what is happening. That also in a very limited way. Nowadays, in modern science, we have come to saying that yes, this is the way it is happening. But that is also very empirical and it is not very fundamental. Most of us are scientists here, or we keep interacting with science, so-called modern science, material science. Let's call it material science. Modern science, there is nothing like science is always there. Vedas are also science. But yeah, in the modern age, material science has gained the prominence and things are trying to get explained based on the use of the material science phenomena. Then we have developed some our own scientific principles. First law of Newton, second law of Newton, this, that, okay. This theory, atom theory, molecule theory, chemistry, there are so many theorems, physics. We have developed some theorems based on the observation. And we are trying to explain the whole material world based on this scientific phenomenon, so-called scientific material science principles. Now, how do you know the whatever principles we have developed or they keep evolving? Are they perfect? We don't know that because we ourselves are imperfect. Who says that? Vedas said that. We have got 4 defects. We have got 4 defects. Tendency to cheat, to error is human. We are bound to get illusion and we have got imperfect senses. We cannot deny these 4 defects. Now, with these 4 defects, when human being try to develop some perception of the phenomena of the material world, it's bound to have these 4 defects. Of course, over a period of time, it's slowly improving, but it will never achieve perfection because the basic principle probably it may not be right, or the way the what I mean is basic principle means everything we are trying to explain based on the material laws, material science laws may not be right because Vedic scriptures explain that there are 2 things. One is material and second is soul. Both are different principles. Soul is different. Soul is eternal. Soul is never destroyed. Soul is actually living force. Material is not living force. We say living entity. Living entity means we refer soul actually. But material science say no, it is also a combination of chemistry, physics, and then some life appears and it goes away. But then Prabhupada challenged this that I'll give you all chemicals, you produce a life in the lab, which I am not able to do. Forget life, we are not even produce a plant, small leaf in the lab till now. And which will not happen also because the principle is not perfect. It's half only. Anyway, so we are trying to explain this material phenomena around us, but we don't know why it is happening, why it is being. But then this shlokas tells why it is happening. Because it is out of fear of law. Now, we have to understand very carefully here. Fear means what here? It's written here, right? BTB. Just a minute. BT. Bita. Bita means fearful. Out of fear, Supreme Personality of Godhead, the trees, creepers, herbs, and seasonal plant grows. So, yes, we can understand that. Even let's take our example. Whatever activities we are doing for our survival is out of fear only. We should understand this. And same thing will be applicable for every living entity. We are trying to survive because we have what? Loss of fear for loss of life, fear for death. We tend to work in the company or organization because we have got fear of not getting money and not able to sustain. We have got fear how this I will maintain my body, my family, my bodily relation, my status. That fear is there of losing this if I don't work. So we work. Then some people have got fear of losing the position. So they have got fear. So they try to maintain some their status like that. There are many types of fears. Somebody has got fear of getting defeated in the argument with somebody. So we tend to avoid argument, or we tend to get more and more knowledge so that I can defeat others. Scientists or philosophers or social workers, or any category you take. Everybody is trying to have some philosophy based on which they try to defeat others, saying that no, my philosophy is better. Because they have got fear that otherwise I'll get defeated. So you can easily understand how fear is prominent. Not only prominent, I will say, in fact, Prabhupada mentions, it is a basic force behind our existence. When I say force, it's a sort of driving force. Like, out of fear only we are doing this. And this shloka, Lord says that out of fear, living entities are growing. Trees are growing, creepers are giving flowers, fruits. Next shloka also similar. Next shloka basically says, rivers are flowing, ocean are not overflowing. Out of fear, him only does fire burn and earth with his mountains do not sink. So it's similar thing. What is the thing? The whole material nature and living entities in the material nature are going in the further direction of survival, or life is continuing out of fear of the Lord. Now, one may say, oh, I am atheist. Atheist may say, I don't care about Lord only. I don't care about Lord. I don't believe that Lord exists. Atheist may say that. Or some zeroism people, or some different philosophies which doesn't accept the existence of Lord. They may say, we don't accept only there is a Lord. So where is the question of fearing the Lord? So we can understand very easily. They may say that. They may say, they may deny the personality for the Lord, or they may deny the existence of Lord. But they accept there is some superior force. Or they say it is, something is happening, some material nature is there. It's nature. They call it nature. Nature is doing everything automatically. Okay, that's a stupidity. How material nature would work automatically? Nothing works automatically without intervention of living soul, living being. It is so. We understood. We know this. Nothing happens in our day-to-day existence. What we observe. Nothing happens without the doer, or without the intervention and intention of the doer. So that is all not correct. Where they say that we don't, this material nature is working automatically. Don't believe in the existence of God. They may say that. Nevertheless, the argument may come ki we don't agree Lord's existence, so we are not having fear of anything. But we can easily understand everybody is under fear, because otherwise why they are working, or why they are trying to do something, why they are trying to defend from the nature's onslaught, natural disasters. We are trying to protect ourselves. We are trying to protect ourselves from many things. And everybody, even the atheist, everybody is doing that. So they cannot say there is a fear. And we are trying to protect, preserve the things. Why? Because the most important element of the Lord's energy is kala, time. That is also explained. Time moves. That is explained in earlier shlokas. Rather. Time, importance of time, or influence of time is mentioned in earlier shlokas. Due to time is a unsurpassable, unsurmountable energy of Lord. It's element. It comes from, so it works, time works under Lord. And what is time element? Scientists use time everywhere, right? Everywhere in any equation or any phenomena that I explained. Its time is always there. With time, something will happen. With time, this will deteriorate. With time, this will increase. With time, it will decrease. With time, it will grow. With time, it will diminish. Time is always there. And time is not under our control. Even atheist or anybody has to accept that. And everybody is accepting. That is why we are trying to preserve. Suppose I have got some money or I have got some food item. Okay, to be practical. I have got some food item, milk. So I have to preserve that milk. Otherwise, with time, it will deteriorate. For that, so in that way, every asset or every whatever we have got, we are trying to preserve to avoid influence of time. But that is not going to happen. With the effect of time, everything will deteriorate. That's why called Kalaya Tasmai Namaha. And Bhagavad Gita also says, time, I am the Lord tells, I am the element of time. And with time, everything will be destroyed. Forget about even a simple milk or this thing, which is anyway under influence of time or external. We ourselves are under influence of time. Our body starts growing. We take birth, our body grows, we produce byproducts. And there is a sustenance or maintenance person and death. The body gets perished. This happens flawlessly with the influence of time. Is there any exception to this? No, there is no exception to this. With time, things are bound to change, or it follows this due course which is slated by material nature. We call it destiny, or in case of living entity, or in the dead material elements, we say, okay, it moves, or it just grows, or changes, or convergence. Whatever we can use many physics, chemistry based terms, but at the end of the day, it is the change time brings, and it is unsurmountable. We cannot stop it. Atheist has to accept this. Theist also accept this. Devotee, of course, accept this. And animals and trees, they don't have that intelligence to analyze the whole situation, but we know they are under this influence. So everybody, so irrespective of what philosophy one may follow, I may say, oh, I am atheist. I don't believe in God's existence. I am independent. But we should ask, you yourself are going to die. Things are not in your control. So whose control you are in? Now, when you talk of control, then Supreme Personality of Godhead comes very easily. It's a common sense. Okay. So lot of other, there are many, these philosophies are there. We know that. Of course, we are devotees, so we follow theism. We accept personality of Godhead. That's a very best and very common sense based philosophy, and very natural, and it doesn't need much effort to understand this existence of God if we are devotees. The problem is there are various types of people in material world. Everybody may not be devotee. So this issue comes. But nevertheless, what we are discussing here is out of fear means existence of Lord. And Lord can be seen or can be pursued depending on what is your mentality in the both way. Devotees will not be fearful about Lord. Of course, devotees also fearful about Lord, no doubt about it. But it's very respectful fear. It's a realistic fear because it's a supreme person. But it's not in that sense fear. Okay. But in conventional sense, others are really under fear. Okay. Really, people are under fear. We can easily observe that. In fact, Prabhupada mentioned in many places that the real test of devotion is basically if you are fearless, if you are out of fear, then we are at a real devotional service platform. Of course, people like us, at least like me, we at a very early phase of devotional, so we have got a lot of fear, but we accept it that yes, we may be just starter in the devotional service, and fear is still there. Fear of material existence, sustenance is there. But at least in principle, devotees have accepted that Lord is my caretaker. Lord is a lawmaker. Lord will take care of me. And so the fear, real fear, which generally the atheist, materialistic people see, that type of fear you will see very less, or it is slowly reducing in devotee as we grow in devotional service. That's the whole point. So fear is there. We can easily understand, even though non-devotees, atheist, materialistic may say, we don't care about Lord, but they are under fear and they have to accept the Lord. But they have to accept that fear in the form of time. They may say, oh, no, 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 nothing can defeat it, but they are getting defeated. So it's a common sense. And that for any sensible person, it is easy to understand that everybody is accepting Lord's supremacy, indirectly or indirectly. Devotee accept it directly out of love, slowly. Basically, initially accept as a, we start with fear, okay, but then slowly we get into loving relationship platform as we progress in devotional service. So that is right, but then others are forced to accept it, and we can see them. Yeah, and this is all common sense. We doesn't need very different, very deep philosophies. We can see day-to-day basis. Okay, and of course there is various transcendent devotees. The one category of transcendent. There are the impersonalists. They are also transcendentalists. They are accepting supremacy, but they are saying, "I'm only supreme," or some impersonalism. There's nothing like God. I am also God. You are also God. Everybody is God. Prabhupada has come down heavily on this category of philosophy also, because that misleads. But of course, they are transcendental to the same that okay, they accept some supremacy. But that also get defeated here, because if you are supreme, then how come you are under control of everything? So this very common sense. Okay, and Prabhupada has done all his in his books and in his lectures and in throughout all his whatever preaching he did, he defeated the impersonalism and all this based on common sense only, and that is why it is real defeat to these impersonalisms and all that. It just, and why we are speaking now easily on those topics, because we are referring Prabhupada's books. Without Prabhupada's books or interpretation or purpose, it would not have been possible to understand this. We would have been saying, without Prabhupada's mercy on us in the form of his all the bhakti process he has given, and of course philosophy in his books, it would have been not possible to understand. You would have been wondering about various philosophies. Oh, things are getting automatically. We will be believing on material scientists. Yes, trees is growing based on some cell growth, some microorganism growth, or some philosophy, some physical chemistry, biology phenomena. They will put some jugglery and say that this is how it grows. But they are not able to explain why these phenomena exist at all. Newton's third law, Newton's first law, but why that law exists? Newton has come and put some mathematical expression of the law. But why that law exists? Because lawmaker exists. Prabhupada makes this point in second sloka, which is modern scientists are talking about laws, that also imperfectly, that also not fully pursued. But anyway, even though for a moment we assume we have understood the material nature and we have modeled everything in mathematical expression. Yes, this is how the material nature works. Assuming for a moment that is true, that's also not true. We know we are all scientists, or we are science background, so we know it is not correct. It may be correct to some extent, but not perfect. But even though you assume for a moment it's correct, but why that law exists? Why that law? Because there is a lawmaker. Prabhupada makes simple point that lawmaker is there. Lawmaker makes the law exists, but you have to accept lawmaker also along with law. Then only the whole thing is perfect. That is a defect of modern science, which Prabhupada has clearly mentioned, that they are not accepting lawmaker, and they are trying to explain laws which is imperfect, which is not going to, and that's what is happening. So many laws are coming, so many rules are coming, so many theorems are coming in biology, chemistry, physics, everywhere. And we keep changing all that theorems again and again. Every 10 days, 10 years, 15 years, some other scientists come. He said, no. Earlier model was right, atomic model was wrong. Now this is better atomic model. Some person comes, no, that has put some another 3-4 constants into that mathematics, and that is better. Then somebody, no, all this thing is wrong. It's perennially going on. There is no perfection there, and it will not happen also, because why? Fundamental is wrong. What is the fundamental wrong there? First thing, we are trying to assuming that everything is material. That is wrong, because there is a life, there is a soul, which is different principle than material. So it is definitely different. So we have to explain everything in material nature in combination of soul and material, which is explained in Vedas. But that is not being accepted by modern science somehow. Of course, nowadays they are started accepting, because that may happen also, but they don't accept as a fundamental thing, as a very official thing that yes, soul exists. Modern science don't. But of course, there is a discussion, so that's a different thing. But in general, modern science doesn't accept soul as an entity. They say everything is material. So Prabhupada had challenged, okay, I'll give you material, you produce a human being, or produce at least one leap in the lab. That's not happening. So the point here is basically, we have to understand everything in the context of lawmaker and law. Law will be pursued by our senses, and we are perceiving that. Fine, that is also fine. But why law exists? Lawmaker. And lawmaker, once you talk about lawmaker, the purpose behind law comes. Then the whole thing falls into place. That's what Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam will do for us. There is a lawmaker, that is Supreme Personality of Godhead. What is the purpose of material nature? Bhagavatam is explaining every page what is purpose of material nature. Who are you? I am soul. Living entity, soul. Okay. Super soul, soul, their relation, material nature, time. These are all basic topics of Bhagavad Gita. And of course, Bhagavatam gets into deep of that. And of course, Bhagavatam focuses on more of devotion, which is the relation between these two. So everything is getting explained by Vedic scriptures, and summarizingly in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a perfect way of seeing the thing. But Prabhupada comes heavily on modern science due to this, because we are trying to avoid lawmaker. And there are various, motives behind why modern scientists, or not only scientists, the whole civilization throughout, not only modern, it has been happening throughout. At least we are there right from beginning. So the extent may vary, but it's there. So why this keeps happening? Because why one deny the existence of Lord, or we try to omit lawmaker from all these? Sometimes it happens by ignorance, lack of brain, or sometimes it happens by purposely, because we don't want to accept lawmaker. The moment we accept lawmaker, then I have to follow the law, then I have to follow supremacy of Lord. So it's a demonic tendency. And no. So we don't want to accept lawmaker, so that I don't have to follow the law. I'm free to follow my laws. And that's what we means not devotees, I'm telling. In general, non-devotee population is living in that illusion. I am the boss, I am the lawmaker, or laws are there somehow, I will manipulate them. And then we are free to do our sense enjoyment. That's the whole problem of disease of modern world. It completes the cycle. In any case, it completes the cycle. So the point what we're discussing here was fear. Due to fear of Lord, rivers are flowing, mountains are there, and trees are growing, trees are giving fruits. These are the two slokas. The here fear is for the living entities who doesn't understand the Lord. They may be demons, trees, or the animals, and all other species. So that is definitely fear. And we have discussed that what sort of fear it is. It is fear for existence, fear of time, because time will change everything. So we are trying to support. For devotee also it's fear, but it is a actual fear. It is a actually loving relations. And we respect, we accept personality of supremacy of Lord. That way it is fear. But it's not real fear with the way other living entities pursue. It's a real fear, and slowly it gets converted into love. And that's the real position of devotee. Because devotee sees everything in a right perspective. Lawmaker, law. In absence of that, the whole chaos starts. Because you don't accept the lawmaker, and we are trying to manipulate laws, there is a chaos. We tend to exploit. That's what we are happening. Because we say there is no lawmaker, I'm talking about the majority of the atheism. Because we say there are laws, we don't know, they are working automatically, no lawmaker, I will use it for my purpose, and the exploitation starts. That's why the whole material nature we are trying to exploit. And the current modern age is a peak, negative, lower side peak of it, exploitation. We are destroying the whole material nature by some, so-called this wrong perception or notion, right? Zeroism say there nothing exists. So there is hopeless situation for them. If nothing exists, Lord doesn't exist, everything is zero, then what sort of life principle, what sort of happiness they will get? It is zeroism. It's all neutral, dry. Atheism, again, they are trying to fight with material nature, but material nature will kill them. Okay, so because lawmaker exists, and there is a purpose of this material nature. If you defeat the purpose, we are going to get defeated. Say, for example, now the second shloka says ki, out of fear of Supreme Personality of God, a reverse flow, the ocean never overflows. Out of fear of him, only fire burn does the earth with its mountain not sink in water of any source. River flows and ocean doesn't overflow. Now we are seeing oceans are overflowing nowadays. Okay, does it contradict this? No. Oceans they are coming. The levels are increasing now. It's predicted also after some years, some of the cities may get sunk because due to various material nature imbalance. And who is doing that imbalance? Human being. So Lord has given us the perfect material nature. Perfect in the sense for our use, utilization in a proper way under the supremacy of Lord for establishing our relationship. There is a purpose behind our existence in material nature. There is a purpose against for creating this material nature. And for Lord wants something from us. The way. That's why the whole scriptures are given to you. Take this knowledge and follow it. But we are not following, and we are trying to exploit or trying to manipulate, and that's why this disturbance is happening. So there is no contradiction here. Okay. So perfectly things are, material nature is perfect in terms of his working and in terms of his purpose, provided we accept that in that way. So we are also having fear. Devotees also have fear that if I don't follow the supremacy of Lord, things will not be right. That knowledge, he is in right knowledge. So, but then he goes beyond that fear and just mere existence. He goes beyond that and he starts loving the Lord. At least try to love the Lord. That's the whole nature of the soul. So he works on the soul platform, which is our constitutional nature, loving the Lord. So that is how both these two categories are existing. Devotees exist in a very different consciousness, but the non-devotees and all of the categories in different consciousness, perennially under fear. And this fear will go on. So, but devotee converts that fear into love also. But of course, devotee doesn't remain only with knowledge. He implements that knowledge in the form of devotional service. So we also, material nature, we also use fruits, we also use flowers, we also eat, we also use all these material nature's resources, but that is for our maintenance, sustenance, and ultimately we offer it or we use it for Lord's service by maintaining our body, by maintaining our existence. And since we are having service Krishna consciousness, we are utilizing this directly and we use all this in service of Lord. So that is a real context, how we should be seeing all this material nature and how we should utilize. And these two shlokas, how devotee takes, devotee also is fearful, but not fearful. He by respect fear. He is a realistic fear that yes, Lord is supreme, I am his servitor. So that fear is there, but it is not the bad sense fear, which we generally pursue. But otherwise, other than devotees, they are under real fear, where real fear is driving us, and that's very bad way of getting fearful, because we don't accept the lawmaker. That is for non-devotees. That's a whole simple, understanding. So Prabhupada has made it very clear that basically lawmaker we cannot ignore. The whole point in both slokas Prabhupada is making it, it is not possible to ignore the lawmaker, that is Supreme Personality of Order, because under his direction only everything is happening. And once you bring lawmaker into picture, once you see, then everything falls into place. So this is the, I think, overall, I will say, understanding what we can derive from Prabhupada's purport. I think I will stop here because these are the points I just wanted to make, and we can go for further discussion. But I see His Grace Uttam Damodar Prabhuji has joined gracefully. So I request Prabhuji to further add or correct or give that perspective also. And maybe then we can get into question and answer. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Wonderfully described. I think you made the complete, very clear sense of what Srila Prabhupada's purport really talks about it. So thank you very much. I don't really have any corrections that I could make. Very small man to really make any corrections in what you have said and what Srila Prabhupada has said. So thank you very much for a very, very nice understanding, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thanks, Prabhuji, for your comment. Thanks, Prabhuji. So I will request any questions, suggestions, or comments further. We can discuss, and then after some time we can close the session. So over to devotees now. Any question, comments are there? We can wait for some time. Hare Krishna. Of course, one more point Prabhupada is explaining purport is basically that planets are floating, and Prabhupada derives this point from the shloka that it is clearly hinted in this shloka that every planet has got reverse mountains, because shloka directly saying there are reverse mountains and these planets are floating and they don't fall into Garbhodakshayi water. So clearly hint given here that every planet has got human existence, life existence, and mountains, trees also. This is very clear. Prabhupada clearly pinpoints and tells you this is how Vedas or Bhagavatam is giving us the perfect knowledge. Just I wanted to make that point also. Yeah.
Oh, just one thing to add. Devotees also have fear, but then they actually convert it to their advantage of, worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and by that, the fear has taken over. I don't know if this is the right thing to say, but I just wanted your understanding onto it.
Prabhuji, my understanding also is similar, Prabhuji. Ki, yes, there is a fear in principle, but devotee converts it to love. Prabhuji, my understanding also is same. Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much for adding that.
So, if there are no questions, comments further, we can close the session. Okay, I think there is no much questions further. So, we'll like to close the session for today. Mantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. So we are closing the session. Hare Krishna. Thanks all devotees. Thanks Prabhuji also to grace us with your presence. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.